go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo, go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They'll deceive with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. You got a mind, but even that could change. You could flip the gray matter like some batter.
I think I'm going to have to start using that more often. Oh my goodness, I love that kind of music. And I can see Lynn jamming down there at the same time. Hey folks, I am Walter. Where's Walter Travel? Welcome to a special edition of our live stream. We're going to be talking about expedition cruising today, something I'm really interested in because, you know, I've been cruising for almost 20 years. But one thing I've never done is gone on an expedition cruise. So I am so thankful that today we have Lynn Wilson joining us from Hurtigruten Cruises. Hi, Lynn.
Hey, son. Kusen går det? How are you?
Awesome. Did you like the music? I saw you
I was just clubbing it up here at noon on a Friday.
So if you've never heard of Hurtigruten, you know, I hadn't heard of Hurtigruten until recently, but you guys have been around for a long time, right?
Yes, we have. We're coming up on 130 years.
130 years. And one of the reasons why we are talking today is because we have a huge Black Friday special going on right now. They've got up to 50% off 2023, 2024 cruises. And if you know nothing about Hurtigruten Expedition, that's what Lynn is here to do today. So Lynn, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you talk about Hurtigruten Cruises.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Lynn Wilson, also known as Lynn the Norwegian. I actually grew up in Norway, and today we're going to talk about Hurtigruten expeditions. We're going to talk about expedition travel, and we have a tagline here: the world leader in sustainable adventure travel. Sustainable adventure travel. Key words here. So I just want to talk about the topic of expedition cruising. What is it? Why do it? But before we get into that, we are still Hurty who here in the States. Not everybody knows who we are here in the States, but we are very well established in Europe. So people know us over there. Mm-hmm. We have a rich history. We have been in business since 1893, and we actually got our start with Richard With, who was a captain of the DS Vesterålen. And oddly enough, we got our start by carrying mail from Trondheim to Hammerfest. So Trondheim is here, and then you go all the way up here to Hammerfest. What do you see in between? Archipelagos, bays, fjords, islands, inlets. It is not the easiest thing to get from one point to another along the Norwegian coast without crossing water. So essentially, we found out that this was the fastest way to get mail along the Norwegian coast. Hence, Hurtigruten was born. Hurti translates to fast or quick. Ruten translates to route. Since then, the route has extended to encompass Bergen, which is Norway's second largest city, all the way up to Kirkenes here, which is right on the Russian border. And there are 34 ports of call along the way. In modern times, we now operate this as a proper cruise. And we have 6 ships operating this route to this day. It looks and feels like a cruise, but behind the scenes, we are still a lifeline to the Norwegian coastline. We are carrying cargo, Norwegians from port to port, because we're still the fastest way to get from point A to point B in many instances. And we're also a ferry. But if to the naked eye, if you're not looking for those side operations, you likely won't see them. Up here in the left-hand corner, this is where Expedition was born. We had our first expedition to the Svalbard archipelago in 1896. Fun fact about Svalbard, once you're up here, you are within 1,000 miles of the North Pole. More polar bears than people in this archipelago, and we do frequently run expeditions to this region as well. So I wanted to just display our history. We have decades upon decades of in-house know-how, and we have been sailing the polar regions for quite some time. So going back to expedition cruising and exploring the world with us, we are by far most known for our Norway operations, but we just last week also celebrated our 20th anniversary in Antarctica. So we have been doing Antarctic expeditions for quite some time. And all things told, we have over 150 itineraries that spans 5 continents. So just wanted to put the map here to just give you an idea of these remote places that we go. And then just keep in mind here, look at this. Svalbard archipelago right by the North Pole. Up here, you have the Scoresbyson Fjord system. You have the Greenlandic West Coast. You have the full Northwest Passage, Aleutian Islands, Antarctica. What do all of these places have in common? Little to no human infrastructure. So this brings me to the topic of expedition cruising. What is it and why do it? So essentially, what is it? It's if there's no human infrastructure, the art of cruising is very different. You have to scale down the ships, the way you're going to get ashore. If there's no human infrastructure, that means no piers. You're not walking off the ship to get ashore. You don't have a firm timeline of where you're going to be and when. So essentially, the notion, an oversimplified way to characterize an expedition cruise, is that we are experiencing nature on nature's own terms. That requires flexible scheduling. So the best advice I could offer anyone who's going into anything with expedition cruising is that you should expect the unexpected and you should embrace it. The ship type is already going to change. If you have a ship that takes 3,000 to 4,000 passengers, you need a pier. You need that infrastructure to be able to get people off. So when you're talking about expedition cruising, you're talking much, much smaller vessels and how we're going to get you ashore. And I will get into the topic of landings, but we get you ashore via Zodiac. So every day, no 2 itineraries are the same. No 2 departures are the same. Every departure is like a fingerprint because Mother Nature really does control the name of the game. But we've been doing this for so long. Adventure, it's a given. We will provide adventure, but you just have to kind of keep an open mind, go with the flow, connect with your inner explorer. That's the best thing you can do when you're planning an expedition. The other lane is that we're going to get rid of the casinos. No late night discotheques unless you have Walter playing some good tracks. Then maybe we'll bust out a speaker and we'll have some dance parties on board. But that's not the norm. If I'm on board, maybe there'll be some dancing. But for the most part,
and if we're both on board, we'll forget about it.
Then it's just it's balls to the wall.
It's gonna be a party all night long. That's all it's gonna be.
Yes, sir. So there's a heavy focus of education though over entertainment. We call it edutainment though. So we're entertaining your minds. So This is the essence of expedition. Expect the unexpected, embrace it, immerse yourself in the destination. And when you do that, we will take you to some of the most beautiful remote destinations on this planet.
Lovely.
So you've made the decision to do an expedition. Why would you choose Hurtigruten of everyone? There is a reason I gave that nod, that 1896 nod to the Svalbard archipelago. We've been doing this for so long. You want to go with the know-how, right? So we know what we're doing. Polar regions, these are polar playgrounds. We thrive in ice. The other thing is industry leader in sustainability. So the very first tagline, sustainable, sustainable, sustainable. This is so important to us as a company. It factors into all of our operational decisions. So if you are a change agent, if you are an environmental ambassador, we will probably match. Again, smaller ships with expedition, but even the way we build our ship, it is built to make expedition easy and adventurous. So we have purpose built all of our vessels for expedition. I will also slate us as a culinary experience. So if you are a foodie, whenever, wherever possible, we source ingredients locally. Norway is probably the biggest example given our heavy presence there. And up to 80% of our food is sourced locally from the various ports of call. But
Wow.
I do want to lean in to the topic of sustainability because it is so incredibly important. And this is the big why. There's lots of players out in the game, but the way we sail, the entire motto is to travel responsibly and sustainably. So we were the first major adventure travel company to ban all non-essential single-use plastic fleet wide. We've
Wow.
seen, I know you guys have all seen the whales that have been cut open and they're full of plastic. We've seen the straws in the turtle's nose. We've seen that photograph that's up for an award now with the seahorse carrying a mask underwater, right? We don't want to perpetuate this narrative of waste. So we're doing everything we can to reduce the waste on our end. So we were the first ones to ban all single-use plastic. We
Wow.
also We're not just talking the talk, we're walking the walk. We invest heavily in green tech. We had the MS Roald Amundsen, the very first hybrid electric vessel, come to the industry.
Wow.
Hot on our heels was the Fridtjof Nansen. Both are hybrid electric powered. We have just refitted one of our Norway coastal vessels, the MS Richard With, to also be hybrid battery powered. And we have another vessel that runs in part on biofuels from food waste. So we have a goal of having our first zero emissions ship by 2030, but it really does factor into all of our operational decisions. We have a green stay program. So for every day you opt out of having your stateroom cleaned, you just put a little green tag on your door and we will donate 50 euro cents to our foundation, which is the Hurtigruten
Wow.
Foundation. And essentially, basically, this foundation exists to fund eco-sustainable projects. And you might say, well, 50 euro cents, that's nothing, but just small changes can have a big impact. And that's kind of the essence of who we are. And collectively, fleet-wide, we do tend to raise between $10,000 and $20,000 a month for these projects.
Wow.
So everyone who sails with us, if you weren't an environmental ambassador before you came with us, we think you will be by the time you leave. But a lot of people choose us because of our efforts to preserve the environment and travel responsibly and generate awareness that we could all be doing more.
Wow.
One of my favorite things are beach cleanups. And this slide actually serves two purposes. One, we weren't even supposed to be here. This is
Ah,
Chuginadak Island in the Aleutian Islands chain. This was a plan B. We weren't even, it's not on the itinerary, but another
wow.
plan A fell through. So here we are, these beautiful black sandy beaches, active volcanic region
Wow.
riddled with trash. So what happens in these uninhabited regions, there's a lot of waste in our oceans and they wash ashore with the currents. So this was not a
Wow.
planned beach cleanup. We just all saw that there was trash. There were computer monitors, boots,
Oh my
nets,
gosh.
ropes. We just got to work. That is me. That's just a few months ago in July in Alaska. And collectively, we gathered 300 kilos of waste. And then again, fleet wide, we do clear several metric tons of trash each year. So we have a goal. We never disturb local wildlife or anything, but we do have a goal to leave places in a better shape than we find them. So this is
Very,
all part of our why. And I hope this resonates with you as the guest as well, because it is very important to us.
very cool.
Expedition team, let's talk edutainment. So this is how we're going to provide tintillating experiences for your minds. All of the ologists are on the roster: geologists, glaciologists, ornithologists, biologists, naturalists, photographers. We have over 350 expedition team members worldwide. They are handpicked according to their skill set and the destination at hand. If you look in the upper right-hand corner here, that is Luciano. He is a Chilean naturalist. He is currently on the MS Roald Amundsen, and they just completed an expedition that covered the entirety of the Chilean coast along with the Chilean fjords.
Ah,
So he is there for his expertise. We were in Northeast Greenland. We had a former Danish sled patrolman because that was the only presence in that region. When we went to the Aleutian Islands, we brought on a historian, Mila, who has a focus in the Onungan people. So if
Wow.
you're even going on an expedition cruise, you're probably going to be a seeker of knowledge. You will gravitate towards this team. A good expedition team will take an already crazy cool experience and they will just take it to the next level. So they're always available, they're around, they're there to answer your questions. So make sure you seek them out. And of course, they're highly trained in polar survival. It takes 2 sea days to get to Antarctica. If you're in Svalbard, you are above 80 degrees north. If you're in the Northwest Passage, you're days from any humans, right? So you want to make sure that you're with people who know what they're
Wow.
doing with polar survival.
Wow. Never
All right.
thought about that, to be honest with you.
Yes, it's we're really Scoresby Fjord system. There's nobody there. It's you and Mother Nature. Antarctica, it's
Yeah.
you and the penguins. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Unbelievable.
Day in the life on board. This is how we entertain you. So while we don't have the casinos, we don't have the clubs unless Walter and Lynn are on board here, we
Exactly.
will provide in-depth lectures. So every day we have a Hurtigruten app. There's a full, robust program. It'll give you your landing time, your cruising time, and then what times the lectures will run. So this is a great way to learn about the destination at hand. So in Alaska, there was a focus on bears and bird life and whales. Antarctica, there's going to be a focus on whales, penguins, and such. So wherever you are, we'll have a curtailed lecture program. Something that's very special on our fleet is that we have a state-of-the-art science center. So we have microscopes, we have bone clones, we have what we call a science boat. This is really cool because the science coordinator, this is so you can sign up on board and we offer it whenever we can, where we will take guests around and we will collect water samples and such. And then we bring those back to the science center. We have lectures to see what kind of phytoplankton it is that we found in a particular region or what have you. So it's very, very educational. Many opportunities to engage with the expedition team. So you're going to have the lecture program. You're going to have the science center lectures. There will be blocks of time every day out on deck where we will have expedition team members to spot wildlife. If you're crossing the Drake Passage to Antarctica, you're already looking for albatross. You're looking for whales. So there's always someone there to help you interpret whatever it is that you are experiencing. You go to these places for photography. There's always an introductory photo lecture, and not just for the massive, professional cameras, also for iPhone picture or iPhone users such as myself. And one of the coolest things that we participate in is citizen science. So this is where you are going to connect with your inner researcher, and we're going to collect data points for third-party organizations.
Oh,
It's
cool.
not the easiest thing to get to Antarctica, so they may not have all these resources readily available. Sometimes we'll take researchers with us, but oftentimes we are collecting data points. And I'll give you an example. Happy Whale is where they track the migratory patterns of whales. What do we as humans do when we see whales? We go nuts. So they come, they're very frequent and prevalent in the Antarctic region for the summer. So they're coming up, they're bobbing for air. Right before they do a deep dive, they're going to show you their whale fluke. And that is a unique identifying factor. It's like a fingerprint, from the pigmentation of it to the jagged edges to the scar tissue. Someone's going to get a good photo of that whale fluke and they're going to upload that to Happy Whale. Congratulations, you have just helped that organization track the migratory patterns of that whale. If the
Cool.
whale's not already in there, you can name the whale. eBird is another one where in the Bering Sea, we were looking for this bird species called the McKay's bunting, and it was endemic to that particular island right up here. And we saw one. So presumably we fed that back to eBird, like, hey, there's still a population here. So super cool. This is just
Wow.
my iPhone picture, but this is what you
Wow.
can see in Antarctica. So this was from my own Antarctic expedition, and this was during an
Wow.
ice cruising session. Ice cruising, keep that in mind. But someone got a much better photo than me. I'm an iPhone user. I don't have the heavy duty photography equipment, but that
Yeah.
picture was undoubtedly uploaded to Happy Whale.
Nice. Nice.
So
Beautiful.
then we get to meet the fleet. So how do we get there? What ships do we have? So we're a larger operator. The three to the left, I call our summer chasers because they're always chasing summer. Right now, they're in the Antarctic region until March, and they will be there on their respective itineraries. When the Antarctic summer ends, we come back to the Arctic and we'll go to Alaska and Svalbard and Iceland and Greenland, and we'll do those types of itineraries. Then you have the MS Spitsbergen. She is named after the island Spitsbergen in the Svalbard archipelago. So naturally, it is fitting that she sails the Svalbard archipelago. And she does that in the summer, because again, we're summer destinations. And then she'll go to West Africa for October through January. The MS Maud is our Norway expedition vessel, and she will also, I'll talk about one cool itinerary with her later, but she'll also do Iceland, Greenland, Svalbard. And finally, you have our MS Santa Cruz 2. She's our 90 passenger vessel in Galapagos, and we are there year round offering 4 itineraries. So we're everywhere. Again, wherever you want to go. If you want to do it the expedition style way, let us know. You'll see that in Antarctica, we cap at 500 for these 2 hybrid electric vessels, and then the MS Film will max out at 200 guests. In Svalbard, we'll max out at 200 as well, because to do a crossing, you can't have more. And then I think the highest passenger capacity for the expedition side will be 530. So if you are a conventional cruiser and you put us up against a big white ship, we would look super tiny.
Yeah, I think that the theater holds more than that, when you go on those big ships.
Probably, yes. So, but again, I just love
That's amazing.
expedition cruising. I love small ship expedition cruising. So
Oh,
you
I
kind
can't
of
wait
need
to
to
try it.
absolutely. But
Wow.
$64 million question. What is included in the fare? So the price you
hmm
see is the price you get. That is with port charges, taxes, and fees. That is all included in the fare. So that's
Okay.
number one. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner is included. The
Nice.
robust lecture program, the science boat, several activities on board included. A range of off-ship activities included. Landings and ice cruising and scenic cruising included. And I'll get into what is that, what that is here in a little bit. The expedition team, all of their activities on board is included, and gratuities are not expected. And if you partake beer and wine, house beer and wine is included with lunch and dinner. So it is
Huh.
relatively inclusive. It is a premium experience, and you
Yeah.
can go through your expedition without incurring any additional fees.
Nice. Boy, that's nice. So beer and wine included with dinners or with the meals. That's nice.
Lunch and dinner, because even at
Lunch
lunch,
and
it's
dinner.
5 o'clock somewhere.
No,
So,
no, no
and
breakfast. I can't have a beer with
I don't
breakfast.
know.
Oh,
I don't know. I haven't seen alcohol with breakfast, but I'm sure if we,
I,
I don't know.
I'm good.
I
I'm good. I
usually
don't
was
need
on
beer.
work trips, so it would look a little off if I started drinking at breakfast time. So we talk
That's
about
awesome.
the staterooms and suites, and I want you to get into the habit when you think about a
Wow.
Hurtigruten vessel. We the ships are purpose built for expedition, but I also want you to get in the mindset that our ships are purpose built for your comfort. This is your base camp at
Wow.
sea. You're not, these staterooms are very well appointed on the hybrid
hmm
electric vessels, the Roald Amundsen and the Fridtjof Nansen. Smallest cabin that we typically sell is going to run around 200 square feet. So then it'll go up
Oh,
to
wow.
a variety of suites. We have corner suites that have jacuzzis. We have owner suites that are over 500 square feet. So lots of
Wow.
options. But again, the whole point is an expedition, right? So you're not going on an
Wow.
expedition to spend too much time in your cabin. I would recommend a
Yeah.
balcony, because you never know when the whales will breach or you'll have these
Sure.
crazy, stunning wildlife viewing
Sure.
opportunities. But keep in mind that the rest of the ship is also built for your comfort. So to the upper left-hand side here, you have the Explorer bar and lounge. Very
Wow.
comfortable seating, very
Wow.
quiet. So this is your living room. And unless, again, Walter and Lynn are on board, is probably going to be quiet. But if we're on board,
Yeah.
there might be an impromptu club. We don't know.
Sure. Sure.
Education. We have lecture halls on all of our ships. We have jacuzzis on all of our ships. All of our ships have fitness centers because
Wow.
the dessert buffet is lethal. So you may want to work off the calories afterwards. So really good. And that's not
Oh,
hyperbole. You always start your expedition in your jeans and you will probably end in your sweatpants. So did I
oh
mention
my
no
goodness.
dress code? So there's no dress code on any of our
Good.
ships.
Good.
Yep.
Wow, the sauna looks beautiful. Look at
All of
that.
our Europeans are crazy about their saunas. So we love a good
Really?
sauna. We have jacuzzis. So depending on where you are after a landing in Antarctica, I
Wow.
don't think going to the sauna or the jacuzzis is the worst thing you could
Wow.
do afterwards. And the pool,
Uh,
that is for the Roald Amundsen and the Fridtjof Nansen.
wow. That is
Okay,
beautiful. I mean, that
isn't
that
it
that lounge on the top is stunning. Oh,
stunning? Yes.
so
And
pretty. So pretty.
this one right here, we were leaving Dutch Harbor on our Aleutian Islands expedition, and we were sitting up here with a glass of wine. 30 to 50 humpback whales just started breaching. And then we just basically
No.
took in the wildlife from the Explorer
Oh,
Lounge.
wow.
Sometimes the expedition team will have gatherings here in the evening, but it's generally you can play cribbage, you
Wow.
can do puzzles, you can read your book.
Hmm.
If you like to crochet and knit, it really is that calm. So,
Wow. How
yes,
beautiful. How
yes.
beautiful.
Very
Wow.
relaxing. This is probably the one
Mhm.
thing that you probably won't need a vacation from the vacation because it
Right?
should relax
Right?
you. Yeah.
Oh my God. And I love the
Oops, sorry.
staterooms that you were showing earlier with the woodwork
Yes.
behind the bed. So beautiful.
Yes. Very
Nice.
Scandinavian sleek design on all of our
Yeah,
vessels.
really nice.
Let's talk gear and also just take a moment to take in this photo. This is a wet landing. This is the infrastructure. This is how you get ashore. So again, very adventurous. Muck boots are very bulky. So for all expeditions except for Galapagos, we do provide them and we have sizes I think from 4 or 5 US through 15 US. So
Wow, look at that.
essentially these are provided for use throughout the duration of your expedition. And also
Wow.
on all expeditions except for Galapagos, because it's not really needed, would be the wind and water resistant jacket. So that is yours to keep. Trekking poles are provided. They'll be brought to the landing site. So you can easily just pick up a pair,
Wow.
use them, drop them off when you're done. We'll take them back and we will sanitize them. And of course,
Wow.
in line with our single use plastics ban, we have a reusable water bottle that everyone will get to keep. And that, again, we have water stations all throughout the ship. So
Wow.
lots of stuff. There is a packing list at the end of this, but this will give you a good idea of what a landing
That is
looks like. And
cool.
I'll talk about wet landing. And again, Hurtigruten fast route, wet landing, you may step into a little bit of water. So
Yeah, I
we're
mean,
just,
so this is the pier right there, what you're
that's
showing
your
us.
pier. That is your
That's
pier.
the
But
pier.
I want this to be very well known. There are helping hands everywhere. So this brings me to
Yeah,
the expedition launch. So
nice.
when you're doing an expedition cruise, how you know that the ship is going to be smaller because you just need to be able to have the logistics to get everybody ashore. But how we have designed our ships with a tender pit that folds out to sea level. I love, love,
That's
love this
cool.
picture because it's so informative. You see that the Zodiac here now is now moored alongside the tender pit.
Right.
So you have three very crucial people here. You have the Zodiac driver, which will idle here. You have at least one staffer on the tender pit. And then whenever the Zodiac driver comes with the Zodiac, another staffer will hop in, typically with a little box to create that staircase. And we're going to do what we call the sailor's grip. And we're going to help you into the Zodiac, essentially. So it's very safe, very stable. Uh,
Wow.
Operation because some operators just have like a little hole in the hull and they just open the door, but it's not as
Oh,
stable as having a
wow.
full-on tender pit. So if
Yeah,
you are thinking about expedition, one of the first questions that you'll probably ask is, am I fit to go on an expedition? How mobile do you have to be to go on an expedition? Walter actually has an overview of what a landing is. We did create a video from start to finish.
yeah,
I recommend everybody to watch that if you are planning on an expedition because you want to make sure that you're relatively fit to
yeah,
travel. But if you can get in and out of a bathtub with relative ease, then I've seen people
yeah,
well into their 80s participate in expeditions. But this is a great depiction of what are we doing? How are we getting you ashore? So
exactly.
I love this photo.
I love that picture. That just makes me want to go on the cruise right there.
Yes.
That is so National Geographic. It's like I just want to live National Geographic and go do that. But would you? That's so
Yes,
amazing.
absolutely. And again,
Amazing.
I think we
That gets
do
me
it
so
really well.
excited. Oh my
Yes.
God.
That's the
That is like
goal. That's the
so
goal.
cool.
Come with us. It'll be
Well, and
fun.
I love the tender. I mean, that is such an important thing because trying to step off a boat,
Yeah.
a ship right into a Zodiac is not that easy, but
No,
having that tender
the tender pit.
platform,
Yeah.
that gives you a little bit more stability to get in. So that's really nice.
Yes, and the two hybrid electric vessels, the Roald Amundsen and the Fridtjof Nansen, they can actually accommodate two zodiacs at a time. So that's a
Oh
wider
wow.
tender pit as well. So, and also the
Wow.
way we store the zodiacs, we store them in the hull of the vessel so we don't take away the deck space.
Oh
So
wow.
every operational design, nothing is by fluke. It's
Yeah.
all intentional to
That is
provide you with
so
the
cool.
logistics needed for the safest expedition operation and the comfort needed to give you your base camp at sea. So,
Wow.
and
Amazing.
again, oh, no dress code. I love that. I love no dress code.
Dress
So it's
code.
my favorite thing about it.
No dress codes, yes. And then when we come on board, you're gonna have to bring your party stuff. That's all. That's all we ask. Just
I
bring your
mean,
party stuff.
I
If Lynn
may
and
or may
Walter
not
are on
have
board.
brought some Where's Waldo costumes on board before and just
Nice.
popped up and so that's why your company name, it resonates with me. I'm a big Where's Wally fan, so
That's awesome. What a beautiful photograph too. Just
yes.
stunning.
Let's talk about the landings, though. Again, as Walter said, this is your pier, folks. This is how we get
Yeah.
you ashore. By the time you as a guest get ashore, the expedition team has already set up a firm landing site, and I'll show a better image of this. But essentially, you get ashore, the expedition team members. So you had the staffers to help you in. Also, this is a very calm landing site, so they were able to put the staircase, but sometimes
Right.
they're up to their waist in water. They're there to
Gotcha.
stabilize that zodiac to help you. So you're going to spin around and hop off.
Wow.
Sometimes you're coming down the stairs, sometimes you have to hop into a couple inches of water. It's all part of the adventure. So just
Okay.
enjoy. And you're one of the few people that can explore these regions. And not every landing site is visited twice. That's why every departure is unique in its own way. But
Oh,
this
wow.
is the most common way to get ashore in areas where there's no human infrastructure. We do have expeditions where there, are communities, but so this is what we
Hmm.
call a wet landing again, because we're very
Nice.
literal people.
Love it.
Let's talk about a dry landing. Why would we call this a dry landing? Take a guess. Because we're probably going to keep you dry. Again, I cannot stress how literal we are as a company. We call it like we see it. We call a spade a spade. So just a dock. So you will go from the
Yeah.
Zodiac to a dock. This could be a small
Nice.
town in Iceland or Greenland. So essentially, this is what we would call a dry landing to a small community. But there's more. Let me sham wow you guys.
Jim,
Hard
wow.
landings. Yeah, but
Oh
wait,
my
there's
God.
more.
Oh my God.
Staircases. This is
This is
very
awesome.
indicative of an early Antarctic season landing. So Antarctica expands quite a bit in size in ice every year. And in
Wow.
the early season, which is October, November timeframe, the snow ice has not sufficiently receded. So we, as the expedition team members, we will connect with our inner carpenters. And yes, we will build you an ice
That is
staircase that
amazing.
will rival that of Elsa in Frozen. So it doesn't get much more adventurous than this.
That is incredibly cool. I realized
Yes.
it about halfway into your statement that, oh my God, that's a carved staircase. I love that so much.
Yes, yes, and then the MS Fram, we have an internal website, so they just built one last week. So I was just tickled pink. I said, "Yep, there we go. It's early Antarctic season. We're doing the polar staircases here to get people on and off."
Nice.
But again,
Nice.
we have this down to a science. We have the
Hmm.
polar survival. We have the know-how within our teams to do these things.
That's amazing. Amazing.
Boots on the ground. Again, you'll find that I'm focusing quite a bit on Antarctica, but I don't think that there are many
Mhm.
destinations that are more expeditionary than Antarctica, and we're so well
Yeah.
established there. So a lot of our examples include Antarctica, but this is also very important to us. We are not petting penguins. We are not petting seals. We are not getting within 5 meters of wildlife because we are visitors on their turf. So I
Mhm.
think Walter and I, we connected on the fact that we're both brutally honest. We want to set realistic and correct expectations. So we
Yes.
keep a minimum of a 5-meter distance. You see the penguin highway here off to the right. These stubby little penguin legs have worked very hard to create this penguin highway. We're not going to disturb it. If your boot crunches through a foot of snow, we're probably going to ask you to backfill it. So we don't want our visits in any way, shape, or form to adversely affect them in their natural
Oh,
habitat.
that's cool.
But
That's
even
cool.
5 meters, that's a little bit, what, over 5 yards. You're getting,
Yeah.
you can zoom, you're getting perfect
Yeah.
photos. You're getting a front row seat to penguins and seals and such. So
Yeah.
this is this is indicative of what you will experience in Antarctica, and it is amazing. They
Yeah. And I
stink
did notice
just
in
in
some of
there.
your photos, it looks like sometimes the penguins like to come over and check you out. I did see that.
Yes. So if you see the photographers here, that's the flip side. So we are never to approach them within 5 meters. But if you're just sitting and then they walk past you, you can't
Yeah.
really move in any direction either. So you just kind of have to sit and just let them pass you by. But we're never going to try
Yeah.
to reach out or pet them or anything of that nature.
Right. Right.
Yeah. All of this, boots on the ground.
I
What
love
else is
this so
included?
much. So much.
Ice cruising. Let's move on to the aquatic side of things. Just as
Wow.
important, let me lean you back to a few moments ago with the whale fluke that took place during an ice cruising session. This,
Okay.
even a day before you get to Antarctica, you can start to see the penguins swimming. Seeing them swimming and how fast they move is just as exciting as seeing them ashore.
Oh my
Also,
God.
if there's sea ice, seals will frequently be sleeping on the sea ice. You can't get there unless you're actually doing what we call ice cruising. If you are a photographer, the blues and the iceberg, they'll
Oh
tell you about
God.
the age of the ice. Is it glacial ice? Is it sea ice? So it's always educational. Of course, we keep a
That's
safe
cool.
distance. You don't want to be near a calving iceberg or a rolling one, because whatever we do, safety is always first. But this is
Right.
also where you have the whale encounters, because they do come quite frequently. The peak season for whales in Antarctica would be February, for example. They're there for the krill. They're very abundant, and there's no predators in the region, so they can be quite
Oh,
curious. So you can see
wow.
it's overwhelming, I would say, the ice
Wow.
cruising with the whales and such.
Wow. I want people to appreciate the scale of that.
Yes.
Look how high
Yeah.
that is, or the glacier, and look how tiny that your boats are.
Yes. And then you
That is
have on the way, if ice is important to you for Antarctica, you want to go early in the season, because that's when Antarctica is at its most pristine. You can see tabular
wow.
icebergs, which is basically like just the rectangular blocks.
Uh-huh.
Lots and lots and lots to see. But ice
Wow.
cruising is just as important as a landing. So it's very important to just remember that is also, all of this is included in your fare. So that price, we're
Hmm.
back to square one. That price you saw on the website, that includes
Right.
this. So
Right. That's amazing.
if we take out the ice, because Antarctica is not the only place we go, we just flip the script and we call it scenic cruising or wildlife cruising. This is
Hmm.
my iPhone picture from July, and we were
Oh
in the
wow.
Katmai National Park, Geographic Harbor. We saw upwards of 20 brown bears, glassy
Wow.
water. The day started with fog. We couldn't see 10 meters in front of us. And then the fog just burned
Wow.
off. And then this beautiful landscape populated. And this was probably one of the best days on
Wow.
any expedition I think I've ever had. Again, we're not disturbing
Wow.
the bear, but this is pretty close. And I've never seen a bear before. So, it was
It's really
super
close.
fun. We saw bear cubs. They were digging for clams. Like they're just going for the
God,
food before hibernation and such. So it was just so wildly
so
amazing.
pretty.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely.
Unbelievable.
So this is
Unbelievable.
Alaska, folks, and we will get back to this itinerary. I will be speaking more.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Awesome.
Okay, polar plunge. It's a must. It's cold.
Oh.
I've plunged in the Arctic. I have plunged in Antarctica. It is grueling. And I do say we might be a little sadistic, because you wear your
Uh-huh.
swimwear under your clothes. We take you ashore. Let's say it's a balmy 30 degrees. You
Yeah.
derobe, hop in the water. You have to go under, otherwise it doesn't count. And then you come back, you re-robe, take the Zodiacs back. You do get a certificate and epic bragging rights. But this is in Northeast Greenland back in 2016. Again, I have plunged in the
Oh
Arctic. I have plunged in
God.
Antarctica. May have been tired
Oh,
beforehand,
no.
was not tired afterwards. But this is another reason. Did I mention we have saunas and jacuzzis where you can warm up again afterwards? But total
I
bragging
don't
rights.
know. I
Yes.
don't know. I don't know if I could do this one.
Yes, you
Oh,
can. You can do it. But even if
oh
you
boy.
don't, still pack your swimwear because, taking in the scenery
Right.
from the jacuzzi as well is
Oh
awesome.
my
So
gosh.
make sure
Wow. That's
everything we have
amazing.
discussed is included. Everything we've discussed now, that's in your fare. That's that one price you saw on the website. But
Right.
we do also offer optional excursions and activities for varying activity levels or to further immerse yourself or enhance your experience. In Antarctica, there's no third party vendors. It's just a bunch of penguins and some seals and some whales. So therefore, we have them extra activities. We'll have kayaking, snowshoeing, and camping. So those are the three culprits in Antarctica for optional excursions that would carry an additional cost. That's because there's a lot more work that goes into it. In other areas where Southeast Alaska, if we're in Kodiak or Sitka or Wrangell, there are included activities. So each day we'll usually try to do one included activity, but we also offer a variety of other optional excursions that you could participate in with varying degrees of activity levels. So it's entirely up to you. You can go through an expedition without incurring any additional fees, or you can book an optional excursion as well. But it is relatively inclusive
Gotcha.
with our package.
Gotcha. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
looks so good. I mean, you've got so much included already. So now
yes.
the first penguin that gets smart and opens up a shop, that penguin's gonna make a killing, is what you're
That
saying.
that penguin will make a killing for
Yeah.
sure. Yes. Funny, just I don't know why that just popped in my head, but also on our I did a Miami to Panama cruise, and we actually had to shut off all the lights on the ship, but we did have some stowaway passengers in the birds, the migratory birds. They would basically use us as a safe haven, and
Oh, wow.
we found one in the panorama lounge, so our ornithologist was constantly
Wow.
safely taking care of them and making sure that nothing that they were kept safe. But it was funny, we
Sure.
kept some bird
Sure.
life. They
Wow.
infiltrated, they were stowaways with our ship.
Wow. Wow.
Okay,
That's so
so
cool.
I'm on my poll, or I'm still preaching at everybody, but this is just a
Yeah.
list of the destinations where we go. If you're a world cruiser or a grand cruiser, you want to do it the expedition style. I'll show you a pole to pole expedition that's currently on sale.
Oh,
Antarctica, we do that so well. Alaska is fantastic.
ah,
Northwest Passage, fewer people go there than they go to Antarctica. Norway, I think I would take personal offense to it if you went there and didn't go with us because we are the end all be all. I'm also from Norway, so I'm very protective of Hurtigruten along the Norwegian coastline.
wow.
We've been in Galapagos Islands with our partners for over 65 years, so lots and lots to choose from. But I did, at Walter's request, highlight a few itineraries which I will discuss that have some really good
Okay.
deals currently for Black Friday.
Awesome.
Norway's my hometown or my home country. So I grew up here, and this is an awesome expedition that just happens to be 50% off. You must check it out.
Wow.
Why would you go to
Wow.
Norway? Fjords, check. Archipelagos, check. Lofoten Islands, check. Svalbard, King of the North. More polar bears than people in this Svalbard
Wow.
archipelago. Bragging rights. You're within 800 miles from the North Pole.
Wow.
I mean, what? And then
That's
look
amazing.
at the vast majority of the Norwegian coastline is covered. And if you have not been to Norway, I will just tell you it is one of the most beautiful coastlines in the world. And you're not going to
Wow.
convince me otherwise. And we hit on hidden gems. Tirana is an archipelago that sits about 30
Wow.
miles off mainland. It's an old fishing community. It dates back to like 9,000 years. Reine, if you Googled images of Norway, you've seen Reine. Senja was voted by CNN by top 10 islands to visit.
Wow.
Tromsø, the gateway of the Arctic. And I can't forget about the North Cape. So this is a cliff
Wow.
that sits 1,000 feet above sea level. And
Holy
it's
cow.
like your Kate Winslet, like, I'm at the top of the world. And you are just, this is considered to be one of the northernmost points of mainland Europe. So,
Wow.
Arctic Circle bucket list, check. You have Lofoten Islands bucket list, check. North Cape, check. Svalbard, check, check.
Amazing.
So, this one, great deal. And just the itinerary. This is one of my favorite itineraries that we offer,
And you
just
said this one
because
is 50% off,
this
right?
one is up to 50% off for Black Friday, correct?
Wow.
Yes, May
Wow.
1st. Also, May 17th is Norway's Constitution Day. So all Norwegians are out for that day in parades. We're dressed in traditional Norwegian garb called bunad, and it's a very Norwegian experience. So if you are of Norwegian descent or you are looking for an immersive Norway expedition, I dare say this is the one, because
Wow.
up north, you have like the last little lingering grasp of the winter. It's starting to get to be spring,
Yeah.
but it's not that warm yet. But in the south, you have close to, and at this time, we're close to 24 hours of daylight. So you can
Yeah.
sail from full on spring or even summer like conditions into spring slash last
Wow.
remnant of winter. So there's just a variety, and I just know this one will offer up a
Wow.
great experience.
And 22 days. I mean, this is not a 7-day round trip from
No.
Miami. This is like a real deal. This is
This is a real deal, in and out of
a real
Dover.
deal.
But it's if you can get away. But
Mhm.
if you are a slave to corporate America and you don't have that kind of vacation, that is why
Yeah.
I put in our 12-day Antarctic highlights of Antarctica.
Oh,
This one, we have
nice.
multiple departures, up to 40% off. The way this starts, you fly into Buenos Aires, and once you're at the hotel there, you are in our capable hands. We have the charters down to and from Ushuaia. This is where we'll give you a block of X number of days in the Antarctic Peninsula, but you know
Wow.
that you're in for an adventure. But this is boots on the ground in the Antarctic Peninsula, 12 days. So even as a slave to corporate America, you can get away for 2 weeks, right? And this will get your boots on the ground. Why would you want to
Wow.
go to Antarctica? It is the seventh continent. That is a bucket
Wow.
list. You want to go
Yes.
there. So that's
Wow.
yes. And follow
And you
the
have
the
the adventure of Cape Horn, which can sometimes be an adventure in and of itself.
Yes, sometimes we can land there, but we never guarantee it because the
Yeah.
Drake Passage is known to be some of the most temperamental because it's where the Pacific and the Atlantic meet.
Right.
So you can
Right.
have the Drake Shake or the Drake Lake. I'm actually glad you brought this up because we don't know. Because you're going to ask when is the best time to go? We don't know. Either you're going to get the Drake Shake or you'll get the Drake Lake. So if you are prone to seasickness, take the
Yeah.
remedies, take one for the team. It's part of the experience. So if you end up getting seasick, by the time you get to Antarctica, it'll be a distant memory. I speak from experience. I have been through a few shakes. So therefore, when you get there, and I have an embarrassingly weak stomach, it's part of the experience. It'll turn into a joke when you come back, so don't
Nice.
worry about it. We're going to get you there and we're going to get you safely.
Nice. Nice. Love it. Love it.
All right. We have if you're looking for wildlife abundance, and this one is 23 days, but this is on our MS Fram. She maxes out at about 200 guests. And if you want the highest abundance of wildlife, you're going to want to go to South Georgia. This is where you have hundreds of thousands of breeding pairs of king penguins. It is overwhelming. It is just sometimes it's hard to even get the landing operations going because there's so much wildlife in this region.
Wow.
So this will be boots on the
Wow.
ground in Antarctica. Falkland Islands, which has a British flair to it, and then South Georgia with the highest abundance of wildlife. This one will start and end in Santiago de Chile with the charters down to Punta Arenas. So you will have the Chilean fjords as well as Cape Horn
Wow.
Cape Horn
Wow.
attempt. So 23
Wow.
days up to 30% off for Black Friday, just the November 2nd departure. So this is an early season. You could get a polar landing or two in here due to the early season. Antarctica at its most pristine. You're looking at the penguin mating cycle, stealing the rocks. Penguin chicks come a little bit later in the season in December, but great time to
Wow.
go.
Wow. I just want to give a shout out to Desiree. Say thank you for the super sticker. Really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're looking at really cool expedition cruises right now. This is a little different than normal, but my goodness, this is fun. Okay.
Yes.
Back to you, Lynn.
So you asked me to tell you what my favorite expedition was. So I would
Yes.
be
What's your
remiss if I
favorite?
did not bring up Alaska. So I've been to Antarctica, and that was right up there too. But I think Alaska just really cinched that spot for me, simply
Mhm.
for the fact that it was just so varied, so you have in Antarctica, you'll have the wet landings, you'll have the ice cruising. And again, it's just, I think Antarctica on its own is so overwhelming. You can't even put it into words.
Mhm.
It's just that great of an experience. But Alaska, St. Matthew Island, this is where we found the McKay's bunting. The ornithologist Chansey was just going crazy. We were looking everywhere. Everybody had that, like, that's your job. We're finding the McKay's bunting today. And then we went to Dutch Harbor, saw hundreds of eagles just sitting on lampposts and cars, and there were Arctic foxes in this area. And then there was all the 30 to 50 humpback whales as we left. We
Wow.
went to Chuginarak Island where we cleared the 300 kilos of waste. So we
Oh
had the
my.
wet landings, we had scenic cruising, but then we got to Kodiak and we got to participate in what we call in Norwegian friluftsliv. This is outdoor living. So
Wow.
we would hike throughout Fort Abercrombie State Historical Park. So it was just, and then we're in Icy Bay. It's a glacier. We're kayaking near a glacier. Then we're
Wow.
in Sitka going to raptor centers. But even to get to the raptor center, we get to do another hike through a state historical park. It was just nuts.
Wow.
Misty Fjords. We did the science boat in this destination. So, and then the staff and the expedition team and the focus on salmon and
Wow.
whales and bears. We had a bear rehabilitator in our midst, AJ Burr. He literally grew up rehabilitating bears with his dad.
Amazing.
And he was our driver in Geographic Harbor. It was amazing. So this is why this is my
Wow.
favorite one. And long story short, if you've been to Alaska, go back because you haven't done the Aleutian Islands chain. And it is just absolutely beautiful. You will not regret it.
I have done Alaska, and this is unlike anything that I did. We did 14 days with a land sea tour, and it's nothing like this. So yes, I've got to go. I thought I had an amazing time in Alaska. It wasn't this. Now I want to go back and do this.
Absolutely. And I just cannot recommend it enough. So even traditional expedition cruising, I'm also a firm believer that once you go to expedition cruising, you're not going to want to go back because it's just so different, so calm, so
Yeah.
educational. You feel good about it too.
Yeah.
You feel good about traveling sustainably and responsibly.
Yeah. Wow.
So then we
Amazing.
have Galapagos too. So I'm just going to bring up the 11-day departure, which is Santa Cruz, Floriana, Fernandina, and Isabela. Essentially, we have 4 itineraries. We have 7-day options. There are 9-day options. There are 11-day options. They start with a 2-day pre-package in Quito,
Oh,
and you can save up to 40%. We have many departures actually. So if you can't get away for the
wow.
11 days, look for one of the 7-day options. 97% of Galapagos is national park. And to even be a guide here, you have to be an Ecuadorian licensed naturalist. So we've partnered with
Wow.
Metropolitan Touring and very inclusive. I would say that Galapagos is more active of an expedition. It could be from sun up to sundown, but stand-up paddleboarding, snorkeling,
Wow.
kayaking, glass bottom boats, pangas, cycling, hiking, lectures, beer and wine
Wow.
with meals if you are a partaker. That is included in your fare. So Galapagos,
Wow.
and it's a 90 passenger vessel and it's family friendly as well. So if you have Galapagos on your roster, I think you should reach out to Walter and see if you should book by November 30th because there are
Yeah.
crazy deals to be had here.
There are really good deals to be had here right now. I mean, it's amazing, actually, to be honest with you.
And I have
That's
one
stunning.
more. If you're
Yay.
looking,
Oh
wait,
my
there's
God.
more. If you are looking to escape, just get away from all the
Wow.
landslide and get away from all the shenanigans. We have a 93-day pole to pole on
Holy
our Fritjof
cow.
Nansen. It includes Iceland, you do West Greenland, then you do the entirety of the Northwest Passage. I'm talking,
Oh my
you have the
God.
opportunity in the Northwest Passage to see narwhals, polar bears, muskox. It's just you and Mother Nature. And
Wow.
it's probably one of the most expeditionary places. Then you
That
have
is
my
unreal.
favorite itinerary, Alaska, but let's not stop there. You have the Chilean coast. Maybe Luciano will be back there, and
Jeez.
you get Antarctica. So it's going to go all the way
Oh
down
my
to Antarctica
God.
into Ushuaia, and then we'll fly you back to Buenos Aires. So if
Oh
you
my
are a
God.
world cruiser or a grand cruiser and you want to try, if anything we have talked about today has inspired you in any way, shape, or form, and you would like to give
Holy
Expedition a
cow.
go, the reason I bring this one up is that it always sells out and we hardly ever run it
Really?
on sale. So it's up to 30% off on this one too. So
Wow.
therefore, that's why I'm drawing attention to it because I got a little
Yes.
whiplash when I saw that it was actually included in our sale. So that's why I wanted to bring attention
Wow.
to it.
Wow. And if you book this and you'd like a butler or a coffee person to go with you, I'll tag along and help out for sure.
On
93 days.
yes.
Wow.
You should. We do
Wow.
have for families on, especially our hybrid electric vessels on the Royal Amundsen and the Fritjof Nansen. We do have triple and quad cabin types. So, and then if your children are traveling with two parents, it's up to 50% off for children. And we do aim. We used to have a Young Explorers
Wow.
program, which we're trying to bring back. We had to, pause it due to COVID
Wow.
and everything. But it is. We do try to curtail content to children, usually around from 6 to 12. So
Wow.
Galapagos, great place. Antarctica, great place. Our expedition team members love kids, like young seekers of knowledge, the next generation
Yeah.
to take sustainability to the next level. I can't think of anything
Gotcha.
better.
Wow.
So those are the
That's unreal.
itineraries.
That's
And
unreal.
then I'm almost done. What to pack for polar regions. So again, you have heard a few times now, we have no dress code. So you can wear, I've seen, you can wear the pajama penguin onesies if you want. If you want to wear a tuxedo, you can, but usually it's just the penguins where we see it. So layers, and Norwegians, we love all things wool. So, and also
Uh-huh.
keep in mind that many of the destinations we go to, we're going there for their summer. So if you live in Wisconsin or what have you, then the Antarctic summer is going to be warmer than your winter, essentially. So you already have all
Wow.
the gear. So dress for temperatures in Antarctica, for example, early season 20 to 30, later season 30 to 40. But you're
Mhm.
also walking, you're doing your landing. So again, it's layer. And we do provide
Yeah.
the muck boots again. We love wool socks, wool underwear, wool mittens, wool scarves, wool hats. Norwegians love wool. And again,
Just
swimwear.
bring a sheep onto the boat, and then you can just make it with the sheep, right?
Yes. No, because we would not introduce foreign
Oh, right. Oh,
biodiversity. So,
bad
fun
Walter,
fact,
bad Walter.
biodiversity, you're going to have to vacuum out your clothes, your outer layers, before you even go ashore in Antarctica. That's how strict we are, because
Wow.
you don't want any, if you have
Amazing.
Velcro bits and there's seeds and stuff, you don't want to bring that ashore with you. So,
Amazing.
sunscreen,
Amazing.
gloves and mittens, I would bring two pairs, because if you have two activities a day, then you're going to want to just, the first pair will be wet. Our bathroom
Mhm.
floors are heated, so we like to just throw our gloves and scarves on the
Wow.
bathroom floor in between landings too, and then it dries quickly. So, and the
Wow.
shoes to walk around on ship, yeah. So some good shoes, but again, keep in mind for Antarctica specifically, and Alaska, the muck boots are provided. We sanitize them before landings. We scrub them after landings, because we also don't want to bring sand from one landing site to another. So we keep each landing site
Gotcha.
separate and make sure that we don't do anything on our end to alter any biodiversity or anything of that nature.
Wow. You
Yeah.
have heated bathroom floors?
Yes,
Did
that's
I
very
hear that right?
typical in Norway. It gets cold, so we don't like to. I mean, you wake up and you have ice cold floors. I just
Well,
think that's
yeah.
just for a bad
I
day
mean,
now,
I
isn't
live
it?
in Florida and we have cold floors and it's annoying, but boy, you
It
have heated
is.
floors
Yes.
on a
Yeah,
ship? I loved it. There yet another reason to go on a Hurtigruten cruise. You get heated bathroom floors. How nice.
absolutely. And cake every afternoon between 2 and 4 up on the
Cake?
Explorer Lounge, coffee and cake and cookies and stuff. So we
So
in Norway we have coffee, so vaffelkake kaffe. Like we invite people over for waffles and coffee in the afternoon. It's a very Norwegian thing. So we have taken that onto our ships and we do our little afternoon get-togethers.
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So we get to have our cake and eat it too, is what you're saying.
Yes. And if you wanted
Bad
to
joke.
save on the alcohol too, what I may or may not have done is have them fill my glass of wine up right at the end of dinner. And I may or may not have brought that up to the Explorer Lounge. So follow me for saving tips.
May or may not have. There's no video evidence, so
There's
it
no
is what it
video
is.
evidence, cannot confirm or deny.
It didn't happen.
But I hope you guys found this. Again, this is my background too. I just love this because everybody's
I
like,
love it.
Hurtigruten, hard to say, impossible to forget. So I hope you are as excited as I
Absolutely.
am about this product. And let's open it up
Mm.
for some Q&A.
Yeah, well, everybody, I think, is stunned into silence over here. We don't have the questions there, but I have a few for you, to be honest with you. Let me go
Yep.
ahead and let me knock that out. There we are. Hello. Great job. Holy cow. There is so much in this that I had no freaking clue. Like so
Yeah.
much was in everything that you were describing, and like I said, the 50% off is crazy,
Yes.
or up to
Yeah.
50% off.
Yeah.
But you kind of touched on, my big thing is food. So how is the food? Just from a guest perspective. You don't have to tell me like about the whole culinary and all that, but what am I going to be getting some really good food on the ship?
Yes, don't threaten me with a good
Yeah.
question. Okay, so my Instagram handle only really ever comes alive when I sail on the Royal Amundsen. So we have, I'll hone in on that ship for now, but most of our ships have multiple restaurants to choose from.
Oh,
But Ona is like the
nice.
main dining. So breakfast and lunch would
Nice.
typically be buffet. Dinner will be a meat option, a fish option, and a plant-based option. Then you have Fredheim, which is peaceful home. It actually translates to. I'm
Oh.
I'm a Norwegian country bumpkin, so I like I'm more of a low key kind of a dive kind of person, but I wouldn't call it. It's nice. It's great food. Best quesadillas, burger, comfort food, hot
Wow.
dogs. You
Nice.
have the best milkshakes. I don't partake in
Nice.
lactose, so I haven't personally tried them, but I've seen many people, they will come every day, have one or two milkshakes. So Fredheim is my favorite restaurant
Milkshakes.
on
Wow.
ship or off ship. If you like fine dining, we have Lindström, and this would be included for suite guests. And as if you have a non-suite, you can book this a la carte for 25 euros per person. It's a four
Oh,
course meal,
nice.
fine dining. You have the palate cleanser to begin with, and the appetizer and the main course. Very, more refined, but
Nice.
you can still, there's no dress code there either. So I'm just going to drive that home again.
You
But
really like the no dress code, don't you?
I do. It's it can't take me anywhere. But what I really enjoy is that whenever, wherever possible, we do try to source ingredients locally. So I think Norway's probably the best example there, is that up to 80% of our food is sourced locally from the various ports of call. So again, if you're going to Norway, you want to immerse yourself in the destination. And we try to source locally whenever, wherever possible, both for the cultural culinary aspect of it, as well as from a
Wow.
sustainability aspect of it, less transportation costs and storage costs to get the food to us. So it's just and I'm a temperature snob. The food is always piping hot. So if the food
Oh,
comes out
good.
lukewarm, I am not the nicest person. So I'm very, I'm a good cook too. So
You're one of
I have
those.
high expectations, and all of my
Oh,
meals ever on Hurtigruten, they come out piping hot. And it's
nice.
just really good. We're known, they rant and rave about our food. So I would just slate us as a culinary experience from my own personal
Nice.
experience. I can't talk enough
Nice.
about it.
And I love what you said, on a typical, like you call them, the white ship, if you're not a sweet guest, you're not getting it at all. But you actually make that an optional, that even if you're not in a suite, it's just basically a paid dining experience. That's a nice option. That is
Exactly.
really, really
But
nice.
again, in full transparency, though, the sweet guests will get priority. So
Of
I would
course.
say you might have
Of
more
course.
late dining options in Lindström.
Right.
But yes, there is an option to upgrade, bookable on board only, I think. So just make sure that you reach out
Sure.
to the restaurant manager when you're on board and just try to, I would recommend at least
Right.
once. But we were so enamored with Fredheim that we would just, in the app, you can actually make your reservation. So we
Nice.
would be making them 3 days in advance, because there was one day there wasn't room for us and we about had heart attacks. We're like, oh, quelle horreur. We're like, no, 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 no. So after that time, we just signed up for all of the days.
I love that. So, and by the way, it's been worth it having you here just to hear you say all the words and the names of the ships and roll
Yep.
your R's. I can't do that to save my life. So I love this. You've mentioned children a couple of times, and I'm
Yep.
sure, and especially during the replay, there's going to be some folks watching with families.
Hmm.
Any guidance on, like, age, things like that? I
Yep.
could see, like, a 22-day cruise. You don't have specific children's programs, but what is your advice on folks with families and children?
Well, I have a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old myself, and I think you have to be 5 or 6 to even go to Antarctica. So I think we cap it at 6, that would be the youngest
Gotcha.
to Antarctica. And I want to be perfectly honest, when you are in areas that are so remote, such as Antarctica, landings for children would be at the discretion of the captain as well. That
Okay.
said, our expedition team, they do love children. And before COVID hit, we had a dedicated young explorers program. At the time, it was 7 to
Aw.
13, but when we revamp it, ages 6 to 12, we'll have curated content for that age group.
Oh,
So
wow.
there are lots of adventurous families out there, and they want to make sure they take their children. So we are family friendly.
Good.
Several of our vessels have either adjoining cabins or they have triple and quad cabin opportunities. So or
Oh,
cabin
wow.
configurations rather. So therefore, we are family friendly. And I think if you're traveling with one parent, I think it's up to 30% off. I'll check. But if you're traveling with
Okay.
two parents, the child would get 50% off. So
Wow.
there is the incentive with that as well. It's not a daycare. So again, I think it's up to the parent to,
Yeah,
determine. But I think like 7, my daughter is 7. She's in a total sweet spot to where I would feel comfortable. My son, he's 5. I would still think that he's probably a little bit too young for my own personal taste. But
sure.
there's adventurous parents out there with, the baby's born, they strap them on and they're hiking Mount Everest, So there's different types of parenting out there. I'm not
Yeah.
that robust personally, but really, my colleagues have taken their 8-year-olds to Galapagos and they had the best time as well.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
so we are family friendly for sure.
That is so awesome. Well, Lynn, I
Yeah.
think you've covered so much already. I had a few more questions, but you went right through them. So, just as a reminder to everybody watching this right now, whether you're watching us live or to replay later, you've got until November 30th for this particular sale, up to 50% off. If you go to our website, we actually have a whole page dedicated to Hurtigruten, so you can get a little bit more information beyond what Lynn has told you about today. And then, of course, even after the sale is over, we hope to be your Hurtigruten expedition partner moving forward. It's been a joy meeting Lynn, meeting Julia, starting to meet some of the rest of the team. I'm excited to try to get on one of these ships in 2023. I really need to try this. Lynn, what would you recommend? Where should I go first? What should I do?
Okay, so I have my favorite, which is Alaska, but I think Antarctica is a great place to start
Yeah.
your expeditionary travels. I
Mm.
love Antarctica, also Galapagos, but
Oh,
Antarctica has that's that seventh continent that is the ever elusive. So I would say that, but
yes.
again, I think once you start expedition cruising, I think people get hooked. The MS Fram, every time I sail on her, people are on their third, fourth, fifth trip on her. So
Wow.
you have the brand loyalty, but then you'll also find your favorite ship and you just wait for the new itineraries and you just hop on wherever she
Wow.
goes. But I think Antarctica is a big bucket. But I like Svalbard too, because you have polar bears and I love remote places where there's no human infrastructure. I don't know if we're just so busy all the time. I love an uninhabited region. So it's just I love to just be in the vastness and feel like that small speck of sand in this just vast world of ours. So that's my own personal preference. I
Wow.
prefer to go to the no human infrastructure. And, I just love embracing my own inner explorer and basically just, I don't even set expectations. I barely even read the itinerary. I'm like, just tell me when and where I need to be and I will go ashore. All right. Thank you, sir.
It's funny. That's the exact same advice I give everybody on the big ships too, because no, even on the big ship, no port is guaranteed. You could have bad weather, you could have
Yeah.
mechanical issues, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And when folks ask me where I'm going, I'm like, well, I'm getting on this ship, and wherever it goes, that's where I'm going. And
Exactly.
this sounds perfect because the schedule might change.
Yep.
What was that story you were saying right before we came on about the ship just drove itself into the ice? That was
Oh,
pretty
yes.
cool.
I think it was the Fritjof Nansen. So it was quite gusty. So if it's super gusty to the point where it's not safe to roll out that tender pit, then we got to come up with a plan B. So our ships have ice ratings. So he basically parked the ship right into some sea ice, and then they actually lowered the gangway, and people walked
Oh
off
my
the ship
god.
onto sea ice. So again, that could have been a plan C. It could have been a plan D, but
I
adventure
love
if
that.
you are open to just embracing whatever it is that your trip has in store. They also saw an emperor penguin in the Antarctic Peninsula, which, guides can count on
What?
one hand how many times that happens. That is not common. So you just
Wow.
never know what's going to happen. And then they saw one.
Wow.
And they parked the ship right
Wow.
in. They said, "All right, we're getting off here. We can't get the Zodiacs in, so we're gonna ram the ship into the ice here." And then that's what they did.
Can you imagine
Safely,
one of the big
safely.
ships? Let's take the Wonder of the Seas and just ram it into the ice. That,
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
unbelievable. I
Yes.
love that. I love
I
that
know.
so
It's
much.
yeah.
Well, Lynn, this has been an absolute pleasure. I can't thank you enough for
Thank
coming on
you.
here. And folks, if you're watching the replay, Lynn is going to be back. And of course, when I get on a ship, you are going to see. I hope, Lynn, I seriously hope you and I can get on a ship at the same time.
Oh
I
my
think we
goodness.
would
Are
have
they
a
ready
blast.
for that though? I don't
I
know because your club music,
don't
I'm like,
know.
okay, all right,
I
I'm with
don't
it.
know. I don't know. And because I love hearing you say it, can you say the names of the 6 ships again? You say it so beautifully.
Oh, MS Fridtjof Nansen, MS Roald Amundsen, MS Fram, MS Spitsbergen. Actually, the mod is MS Modes in Norwegian, and
Oh.
you have the Santa Cruz too.
Oh, I'd love to. I could hear you just
I
talk
told
all
you,
day.
I'm
You could
Lynn
be a
Lynn the
featured speaker.
Norwegian. Kjemper av Norge,
Yeah.
holder i tolv, vet du. What did you just call me?
Well, Lynn, thank you so much.
Thank
And
you
for
for
those of
having
you
me.
tuning in on the replay, certainly just check in on our website. We've got a whole page dedicated to Hurtigruten. You can check out some of their cruises and things like that. And certainly touch base with us if you want to book a cruise. And we'll reach out to Lynn and say, Lynn, what should we do? And we'll come up
Yes,
with
sir.
something together, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in, and we will see you very soon. Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you. Ha det bra.